Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you.
Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 95. If you've been following the Unnamed since the very beginning like we have, then boy are you in for a treat with this episode tonight. Tariq Geiger's newfound friend Malcolm North, also known as the Northerner, has brought the time tank and a little bit of much needed optimism to this post-apocalyptia. I'm Snoggle, and I'm joined by my partner in crime, my husband, Nick. Nick, how are you this evening?
I'm pretty good. You know what you get to do once you get married? There are a lot of things you get to do, but you get to legitimately check the box on applications and other types of official documentation that is spouse. You know what I mean? And nobody can argue with you.
It's great.
It's convenient because when you take a really long time to arrive at that stage of committal, we'll call it.
Wow.
Then
He said, my wife.
Then people over time are like, well, what do you mean? Like, what do we put on this box and this form and this thing? So yeah, no, I am your spouse. So
Before last year, it was my emergency contact.
Yes. And I'll tell you, I'm going to need my emergency contact after this issue from the world of the Unnamed, because as a super Ghost Machine fan who's been loving it from the beginning, this one is a page turner, baby. This is a new chapter in the story of our buddy Malcolm and our buddy Tariq. So I'm really excited to talk about it.
Me too.
But before we do that, we have a shout out, and it is officially our first TikTok shout out. Yes, I unfortunately have to admit to the younger generation that Ghost Machine Fans is on TikTok. We've been on there for a little while because apparently it's a thing that you do when you do this type of thing. And one of the many really cool folks that we have met on TikTok so far is the account Your Pal Gary. It's spelled exactly like it sounds. Your, Y-O-U-R, pal, P-A-L, Gary, the name Gary. And if you look that up, he's got some really funny stuff that he puts out on TikTok. I would highly recommend that you check it out. And he's really active too. So lots of fun content on a frequent basis. He's a big Ghost Machine fan. He tags us on lots of cool things. We really appreciate that, Gary. So keep it up. You're the man.
Amazing.
But you know what Gary's not? He's not on the news team, headed up by Snoggle herself. So why don't you give us the rundown?
Today is Wednesday, February 11th, which is the release date of Geiger 21, which we are deep diving into on this very episode, as well as the Rockefellers 12. Also, the next final order cutoff date is February 16th, which is the last day you'll be able to pre-order Geiger number 22. Additional huge news. Ghost Machine Editor-in-Chief Brian Cunningham will be joining us for a fireside chat on episode 98, which will air Wednesday, March 4th.
Brian Cunningham! Really excited about that. The editor-in-chief himself. He hasn't been on the show before. Always excited about that as well. So it's going to be great to have him on. He's going to be on our episode on Wednesday, March 4th. So make sure to tune in to that one. We're going to have lots of fun questions for Brian.
Yes.
There is a little bit of additional news according to this very issue that we're deep diving into today. That is something called the Unbelievables. The Unbelievables, right? It's an advertisement in the back of this issue as a new title coming in May. So this year we know we've got the guidebook. That's a 5-issue thing. We've got the $1 trillion kid, which we know nothing else about. And now we have the Unbelievables, which is huge news. So we're really excited
Unbelievable, really.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
There is some chatter on the internet about that perhaps the Family Odysseys are going to become the Unbelievables based on the way that some of the guidebook stuff has been previewed, but that's not yet confirmed.
Well, we will know in May.
Maybe we shall. But we're not talking about the Family Odysseys today, but what we are talking about is pretty darn unbelievable. And that's Geiger 21. We're going back to the future of the post-apocalyptic world of the Unnamed. And before we do that, the key into the deep dive is our cover rundown. So we've got to talk about these 3 beautiful covers that you can pick up if you haven't gotten your copy yet. What did you think of the imagery in this A cover by Gary Frank and Brad Anderson?
One, I really liked the color and how it's made to look like it's actual light. And of course, we're in the library. It's good. It's good. You know, Tariq's saving him, which is ironic because in the book, it kind of feels the opposite.
Very well said. Absolutely. So there's a lot of cool things here. It's Tariq essentially holding the Northerner, looks unconscious, but then a lot of that energy, which up until recently has been all blue. And we know that as either the founding fathers, magic, cult, whatever stuff, technology, time travel stuff. And in this, though, you've got some yellow, you've got some red, and you've got some green. It's not all blue. But it is nice to see Tariq in a library with the books lying around. But we don't really know what the deal is with that, right? Because this is not something that we see happen in this particular issue.
It is not.
So a beautiful cover.
What did you think of the B cover?
At first, I didn't realize that Brian Hitch was going to do a cover for this. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that it was a Brian Hitch cover along with Brad Anderson. And you've got Tariq, Nate, Barney, and Zigzag on there. And really my first thought was, oh, this is a really good representation about how these creators are weaving a world together.
Yeah.
You know, because and it's not like we haven't seen other books like that, but
that's true.
You know, like Gary did that really, really cool red coat cover with all the angry women on it around Simon.
Yeah. That was great.
I like seeing stuff like that. Makes me feel like they're in sync. Reminds me that there's this really long outlook of storytelling that we have ahead of us, ready to devour it for many more years. But the third one, I don't think I've seen this artist before. And whoever he is, he knows how to do the heartbreaker. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, wow. So this is by Leighton Buxman?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just beautiful. It looks like, I don't know, that it was done with like colored pencils.
Yep.
And it's just like him reading, and his lost family are there with him in like spirit form. Gosh.
Yes, it is a heart-wrenching scene, Mr. Buxman. And yeah, I believe that it makes sense because these don't look like Brad's colors. So I believe Leighton did it all. And it's a beautiful image, but man, oh man, even if you don't know this story, you're like, man, whatever that is, that's sad. That's a sad moment, you know? And I know it's kind of corny, but as a Geiger fan, I want to know what book he's reading with the spiritual family right there, because there's been a couple of reoccurring ones. especially recently. I like the way that he did Barney's eyes and like the glow from inside Barney's ears and a little bit of a glow inside of Tariq's cloak too, though. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, just job very, very well done.
Way to go, Leighton. Welcome to the Ghost Machine party, man.
Yes.
But we're going to move on from this heartfelt cover C scene and get to the next stage of the Unnamed, which I am very excited about. And that makes this your spoiler pause for Geiger 21. Snoggle, can you give us a creator roll call?
I sure can. Our creators are the dynamic duo Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. Our color artiste is Brad Anderson. And what would a book be without our king of letters, Rob Lee?
Rob Lee, the radioactive man of mystery. Speaking of radioactivity, we get thrown right into the mix of some sort of battle. Can you remind us where we left off, Snoggle? Like, what happened with the duffel bag? I think that's a really easy, quick way to catch everybody up.
Well, at first, it was just a duffel bag filled with rifles that fell from the sky. And then we got the time tank.
We got the time tank. Yeah. I need some vehicle playsets for my action figures, and the time tank fits the bill.
Yeah, and I mean, it does throw us right back into the action. And one thing I will say is the banter between the two of them is good storytelling, but it also reads somewhat comical, which I very much appreciate. I think it is excellent writing.
Even the vibe right on the first page is Tariq putting his boron rods away and calmly says, "What the hell are we looking at?" And the Northerner calmly says, "Hold on." And you get a gunshot, and he takes out basically the last raider person.
You can tell there's like movement in this scene as well because the gun's flying away from the dude he just shot.
Yep.
That's great.
And so you get the sense of they're both combat hardened people that remain calm in these situations.
No, I just love how the response is, it's a tank. Tariq, I know it's a tank. The question is, why is it here? Like, you can tell from those first two pages that the dynamic between them is going to be very enjoyable.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And it needs to be, because he doesn't have that type of equality or, a person that will challenge him with Nate. Nate makes him better in different ways, but maybe Malcolm will make him better by challenging his negativity, I guess you could say. So, reminder for the Ghost Machine fans, that duffel bag came after he looked at his watch, and he says he doesn't know specifically like what to do. He doesn't get specific instructions. He just gets miscellaneous help and then tries to figure out how to use that help, because his understanding, which is revealed in this issue, is that that help is secretly doing its thing. And so it has to help him via clues, like a tank from World War II.
But not just any tank. He does tell a brief history that because the South won the Civil War, America was essentially split into two. And the Union was on Britain and Canada's side. And the Confederacy were like trading with Berlin. That hurt the Allies, so they didn't have any industry. So there was no Manhattan Project and there was no bomb, meaning that D-Day did not happen.
Well, it happened 3 years later, and it essentially didn't turn the tide in the same way, right? Like it was just, it was worse. It says Normandy ran red for weeks. So it was like an ongoing failed assault.
Yeah, 5 years of trench warfare followed tanks.
I have always been kind of a alternate history sci-fi fan, so I think a lot of people that like immortal characters and stuff like that like this type of thing, and that's because we all grew up in the 80s and we saw Back to the Future, and so it's built into us. But it's a whole thing because even then it gets to the point where in the 60s and we see Malcolm there, they're putting up a sign that's better dead than red because it's still showing like the communism and what was going on there. But and then basically the whole point is that Malcolm is telling Tariq, if this is all true, I can change bad stuff. So why won't you listen? I just thought that Tariq's conclusion was kind of horrendous.
Yeah. So if you help the North win, you help the bombs happen. You sure you're not the villain in your story? And I will have to say, highly selfish outlook from Tariq. Because if the South lost, that means this man he's talking to had to live in a very different America, which we have not really seen. Meaning there was still slavery. We have no idea when they weren't it was just very icky.
Yeah, and I think what it does, that panel, because we've got these 9 boxes, which are very Jeff Johns, Gary Frank staples. And it's a conversational 9-box scene with 2 people going back and forth. We see them a lot in cars, which is something that Rob pointed out when he was on the show last, that meaningful conversations seem to happen whenever the boxes are set up like this in a Gary Frank comic. And to me, Tariq isn't saying that to be absolutely vile, because it is a really terrible thing to say. But he's saying it in a way that the part of him that doesn't want to believe that anything could change has to cling to that. He has to know that there's no way that he could have hope, of finding his family or fixing the past or making this a better world, because then it's like he loses his identity when he loses his pain, and he doesn't want to do that. But the Northerner, I mean, he's got a pretty good point. He's like, even staring at this tank, you still don't believe me? Like, what do you?
Yeah, you can tell from the body language, even in that small panel, in this panel of 9, he is exasperated. He's just completely does not understand. Like, come on, dude.
He even implies, he's like, why would your allies drop a tank on Goldbeard's crew to protect us? And his whole thing is, that's not what they're doing. If they wanted to do that, they would have blown them up. But this tank's here for another reason. And that's when he specifies that he gets messages on his watch from the Department of Historical Preservation, the organization who recruited him. So he knows who the organization is, but he doesn't know any of the details. So he's always like, because to me, that means that since he doesn't know who he works for, it's going to be a really cool wrinkle one day.
Oh, absolutely. I do love this line of like, if what they send him is interceptive, it would expose that Department of Historical Preservation. So the fact that this tank is a puzzle and it's like a clue is really, really cool to me.
Yeah. And it probably makes it a little fun,
Yeah.
He says their message is the tank. And it's really cool imagery because it's that circular hole looking down, which we all know is the view from inside a tank. And he says it's up to me to unlock what it means. And holy moly, baby. Like there's scenes and panels in this Ghost Machine stuff that stay with me forever. Most of them are in the Unnamed. And when I saw the interior of that tank, I was like, yeah, baby, comic books. All right. Like, what is this?
It's super cool. I mean, like, from what we can see just in the middle, first of all, very retro and cool looking, right? But I mean, it's got books and a pistol. It's like that's the compass that will come into play. But very detailed, very cool. And the look on Malcolm's face is just like, huh?
I know. And there's something on the back of the chair, and then it's so apt the way that Gary positioned it, because then as Malcolm sits in it, he's like, this seat looks like it's for me. And then you see it hits his name on it. And then he's like, oh, there's some history books. And one of them happens to be about Frederick Douglass, who we know the significance, I mean, the multiple significances of that, but it's also specifically been mentioned earlier when we met that character. And just, man, when that panel with that can of soup and that picture and that Junkyard Joe doll, baby, I was like, woo! Oh, man, I've been waiting for this since Junkyard Joe 6. You know what I mean? When he comes out of that portal, I knew these two guys were going to get together. And as soon as he sees it, Tariq is like, why the hell is there a picture of my family here? A chair with my name and a set of my boron rods waiting for me.
I can understand his skepticism as well. Like, who the hell built this? How do they know so much about us? And Malcolm's like, I don't know, but they see more than we do. Like, he is very trusting.
But it just gets better because they're talking to each other, and Tariq's like, what is this tank? And he says it was built here to help us. Help who? Who's Mr. Pure? And the crowd went wild. I was so happy. And Mr. Pure stuff is whiskey, apples, and a gun. How good does it feel to know why there are two apples there? That's why I read comics, man, because I know why there are two apples right there.
Yeah.
That's special to me. This is awesome. And the way that Jeff ties it all up and puts it back together is that then the other chair, the fourth chair inside this amazing retro tank, is for a character we have yet to meet.
Yeah, which is really cool. Miss Hollow. Purple rose gloves that are purple as well. Curious.
Maybe she's Widow X.
We'll see.
Which would make this the first mention of her alias, because it would either be she's not Sarah Nash, Widow X is just, we don't even know if Widow X is technically what kind of character that is, but that's just a significant one coming. And I don't think she's first Ghost. So who knows?
And we're going to find out.
We are. And it's funny because the Northerner complains about, he's like, yeah, I met Mr. Pure. I don't know why he's here. And whoever Miss Hollow is, our paths have never crossed. So it's great because it's like, all right, this is new to us, new to him. We don't know, man.
Yeah. And I feel like the time tank's going to be around for a bit.
Oh, absolutely. I need the team to ride around the time tank for a minute, like Bill and Ted, baby. They do all that. And then Tariq says, what do you make of that? And it's a date on the wall. It says August 36th, Friday.
Somehow I believe it is a clue, because the 36th, even Geiger says August 36th. Is that a date? Because there are obviously not 36 days in August.
Yeah. I was thinking it's a Friday in August in 2036. But then you still don't know which Friday.
Or from a timeline where there's a completely different calendar. Or it's code for 836, 0836 will mean something.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
But Geiger says, is that a date? A message? And Malcolm, I don't know. Do you know anything?
Right. But he just inherently knows how to operate this vehicle.
Which Geiger calls a Nazi time coffin.
Right. because it is it is a German Panzer, like a really tough German tank from World War II. And this is when he reminds us that they're going to Detroit because that's where that Historical Preservation Society's last like office was. At least it was back in his universe in 1964, which is like 80 years before, and we don't know what the state of Detroit is now. So we're going to see a new locale. And as usual, meaningful conversations happen in vehicles in the world of the Unnamed because the Northerner tries to be kind and say he's sorry about his family. And Tariq gets automatically defensive, assuming he's like, what do you know about him? And he's like, well, you haven't brought it up. So I'm assuming that means you can't get back to them. And it's very poetic because Tariq says, even if time travel was possible, how would you even stop the unknown war? No one knows how it started. Not really. And that's like a olive branch statement.
Yeah.
That's like we can kind of be friends. Maybe.
Well, I think it continues because Malcolm's, I need to study a war, learn everything I can about it, records, books, and like before he can keep on talking, I love the look on Geiger's face here because he just turns and he's like, books? People stopped writing books after the war. And then it turns into anger, despair. There isn't any history recorded. There's nothing.
Yeah, and it's like he's his antithesis or his cure. Because everything is anger. Everything is, don't you say that. What are you talking about? Don't suggest you can change anything for the better. And his whole thing is why Malcolm says, why does it scare you so much that I could change it? And he's emphasizing I. And it makes it a good point because it's like, hey, man, you don't have to do this, but I will, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not, if I can't, no skin off your back, dude. But
yeah,
who knows?
And before they can continue the conversation, Rob Lee gives us, rah, rah.
I know. And so he picked RANK, and he has it running across the tops of the panels, which makes us feel like it's continuously going. So I totally can hear in my head. And then, although we know that they hit something because they get this big Rob Lee boom. Or something hit them.
Yeah. And that is when he says that this is more than a tank. I think this is a time
machine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. You can't be a super time traveling, not superhero comic book character team without a time machine to travel in together. Come on.
So Tariq goes out to investigate. And again, love the banter, even still. The Northerner, we don't even know what's out there. Tariq, it doesn't matter. I'll get it out of our way.
Yeah, and then you do get it is a really sweet panel. That one page, full page, where he's like half transformed on top of a tank. Maybe a good one to frame and put on your wall.
Yeah. It being dusk outside is super cool too.
Yeah. It helps. It's one of those things where most comic books would just have one color in the background, and you really get more out of this.
Yeah.
And that's all Brad. This is all Brad Anderson. Like very special coloring art.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And they say it might have been a missile, and then another missile gets shot at them and hits Tariq, but doesn't do much. It just kind of blows up, and he keeps coming because he's transformed. But then he notices that they're children.
Yeah. I do love the panel of him, like almost in the Michael Jordan about to do a dunk. I fire back.
Yeah. It does look like Michael Jordan. Once he realizes they're children, he powers down immediately, catches them as they're falling off the building that he basically helped collapse.
Yeah.
And they bite him and tell him that they don't like Nazis.
And I mean, I feel like this is going to answer a lot of questions because we know the St. Louis Strays were trained by Ashley Arden.
Because they did, yeah, but it's not. He does say, "Do I look like a Nazi?" And they're like, "Your tank does, yeah." But the leader of the St. Louis Strays says off panel that he's lucky that they didn't shoot first and ask questions later. And since when has there been a glowing man? Emphasis.
Man.
Yeah. It's italicized and emboldened by Mr. Lee because it's meant to remind us that they know the glowing woman.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yes. I like how quickly we saw them again. I thought we were not going to see them for a while and it would just be like a neat callback. And I'm very happy that we saw them again already. I dig that. And the preview page for the next issue, woo, buddy.
Yes. Oh, I know.
It's Tariq and Malcolm. Looks like they're back during the time of Geiger's happy family being alive. Like the dog, they're playing ball in the yard. And Tariq, it's very subtle, but Gary is so masterful at body language. He's got his hand around his mouth and like he's, upset or like blown away by the moment and he's on his knees, right? And so to me, it's like something I'm just guessing, right? Because I doubt that this story is going to go in a direction where Malcolm North helps Tariq save his family. To me, it's like he's going to show him this to prove to him like what he's got to prove to him, but then they're not going to change time. But, who knows? Or maybe they do, and like there's a consequence, and that's how they learn about the reason you can't change time. Because a lot of time, these types of things need reasons and mechanics that prevent things of that nature. How about that blizzard monster, though?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's a heck of a callback to the so if you recall, the Image 30th anniversary anthology was a set of a bunch of stories. It was 12 issues and they were all like short and comprised, but you can buy this title now called The Blizzard in trade paperback from Ghost Machine. And I really liked this because as somebody who's paid real close attention for a while, at first, a few people thought that this was the monster mentioned on the Unnamed timeline. Because also, as this bio mentioned, Simon Pure has been connected to this being in this bio. And Junkyard Joe is also mentioned, and the Founding Fathers symbol is in the Blizzard story. So a lot of people are like, well, that must be the monster. So this is the first appearance of the monster, which is along with Widow X and First Ghost on the Unnamed timeline that we have. But we actually believe it or not, it's been this long, about a year and a half ago, we did a Speculator Sunday reel. We used to do the Speculator Sunday on Graded Comics, and it was about how this series was the first appearance of the monster from the Unnamed. And within seconds of posting that, Ghost Machine actually let me know, like, no, it's just really similar. That's not the case. The post is down minutes later. And so this bio, in my opinion, helps really reinforce like the thing in that story. While it was a monster, it's called the Blizzard. It's not just a story about a blizzard because it takes place during a blizzard too. So really cool. I would read that again, man. I have read that multiple times. That's a really cool story.
Very cool story.
And the way that they describe the abilities and everything in here, it kind of makes it sound like maybe this will be a character we see again. Then you've got the advert I mentioned earlier. Among Us are the Unbelievables. And the I in Unbelievables has like a person, but then like a radial out, like a sonar looking thing. And when I think of Among Us, I think of aliens or beings that are out of sorts and not that they're not from that place or era. So that's all I know about the Unbelievables, other than it's coming in May. So get ready.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And we're almost done with this fine episode of the Ghost Machine Fans podcast. Would you like to wrap it up by reading the fantastic mail that we received via Facebook?
Yes, we got a fantastic mail from Dave on Facebook. And he said, "Hey, man, hope you're good. Just wanted to say I'm so happy I found the Facebook group and have been listening to your podcast and love it. Ghost Machine is very overlooked in the UK from what I can tell. So it's great to be able to chat about it with people that love it and immerse myself in the podcast dedicated to such a great set of books." That's very nice, Dave.
Yes. So, Dave is a great example of the fact that you can reach us by DMing us too. So, if you DM us on Facebook like Dave did, I'd love to hear your feedback. Really cool that we have another friend in the UK so that, we figure everybody over there knows each other. So I'm sure he knows Cameron Gill, our admin. No, but I did tell him. And so hopefully they'll get to connect because Cameron's in the UK too. It's such a great example of how new readers are finding Ghost Machine. And I really hope that if you're a person like Dave and you just found Ghost Machine, but then you find this Facebook group or this Instagram or this Discord or this wiki or all these things or this Reddit, that's a big one for a lot of people right now, then I hope that it takes all of that to an even bigger level for you, right? Because when you love something to this extent, like I do, I've read all these comics a lot, but I can only reread them so many times, right? I want to do other stuff. And one of the best ways that you can satiate yourself while you're waiting for the next Ghost Machine comic to come out is interacting with the Ghost Machine fans community, because there's a ton of people that are really cool, want to talk about different theories and ideas, want to post their own content, want to talk about the books that they bought that week that are from Ghost Machine. So if you want to contact us, we'd love to hear from you.
It is a great way for the community to connect, so that's awesome.
It is. And if you would like to connect with us like Dave did, you can DM us if you want, or you can send us a fantastic mail to ghostmachinefans@gmail.com.
Do it.
And if you'd like to check out all of those other exciting things that I was just mentioning, make sure to visit www.ghostmachinefans.com.
And thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.
Time Tank Podcast.